Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? And yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup overflows. And surely God's goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life. And I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever and ever. Amen. Assalamu alaikum. Ramadan Kareem to all our Muslim brothers and sisters. May Allah accept the last days of our fast. Good morning and welcome to Johnny's Bite, the People's Bite. Hashtag it, tell them, like it, share it, tell somebody that we are on. A few weeks ago, Mr. President, good morning to you. I came to you respectfully and told you about the UMAC Act, the University of Media, Arts and Communication, that you, through your Minister for Education at the time, Dr. Matthew Poku Prempeh, with his deputy, the Honorable Osei Duchum, had gone to Parliament to give us a good reason why we needed the University of Media, Arts and Communication. And you had told us that it was important that we put the Ghana Institute of Journalism, the National Film and Television Institute, and the Ghana Institute of Languages together. Mr. President, are you aware that since you assented to that law in 2020, year 2020, UMAC, because officially GIJ does not exist, NAFTI does not exist, and GIL does not exist. They are only colleges under this big umbrella called UMAC. Mr. President, are you aware that since you signed onto the law that they brought to you with your green pen, Mr. President, which was gazetted as well, the University of Media, Arts and Communication does still not have a council? And I know that you know what the composition of the council is. All of them must be appointed by you, literally, as if the institutional representation, all of them, a chairperson nominated by the president, a vice chancellor, that's your job, Mr. President. The president shall make the nomination, two other persons nominated by the president, one of whom shall be a woman. I mean, literally, Mr. President, the job is on you because the SRCs of the various institutions are set. UTAG is set. All the other institutions are waiting for your appointment, Mr. President. And yet, Mr. President, since 2020, even though the universities are not legally existent, they are still there without a head. What it means is that, Mr. President, they cannot take any major policy decision. In fact, the Ghana Institute of Journalism recently graduated after a long wait. People had completed their thesis, people had written all their exams, their IAs, people had satisfied all the requirements of the university, but because UMAC had not come and technically GIJ was non-existent, if you will, in the eyes of the law, because there's no lame duck period within that GIJ Act, when in the UMAC Act that says that, well, in the meantime, this is what we are going to do. So they are waiting for you, Mr. President. And last Friday, Thursday and Friday, students were graduated. Bachelor of Arts students and diploma students, and then later the MA students were graduated. Guess who did the graduation? It was GTech. And I thought that GTech, as the institution that has the responsibility of monitoring and ensuring that the schools are doing the right thing, would have impressed upon you, Mr. President, to expedite your action of the appointment of the council members. Because the council is your job. It's your job to perform, Mr. President. But GTech stepped in and graduated the students. I don't want to talk about the event management hitches that went on at the graduation. But, Mr. President, it is important that we don't get a future situation where people can go to court and challenge the certificates that are given to individuals. So, Mr. President, I'm telling you and asking you respectfully again, after more than 3 weeks, I know you have heard it. Please, the lobbying that is ongoing, we are aware. I am aware that people are lobbying your offices and people are lobbying the minister. People are looking for the position. I am aware that people are running for it. Mr. President, we need a council, because if the UMAC, University of Media, Arts and Communication, does not have a council, it becomes problematic. They cannot take major policy decisions. And this would include even what kind of fees to charge, even what kind of projects they want to engage in, or whatever it is. They are at a standstill, Mr. President, and they are calling on you. You told us you were a man in the hurry, Mr. President. You told us that you have the men. Of course you do. You told us that you don't want things to be done like it was done in the past. This has never happened in the past before. So it should not be happening under you, Mr. President. We need the UMAC Council now, Mr. President. the UMAC Council now. Mr. Education Minister, if you have not taken the list to the president, please take the list to the president now. That is your job. Because it is unfair to the students who graduated just last Thursday and Friday to have completed all the processes within the school and had to wait unnecessarily. Until GTech stepped in. And I thought that GTech, again, I'm saying it, I thought that GTech would have rather insisted that the council be made so that they would engage you, Mr. President. But that didn't happen. Well, Mr. President, sometime in, I think, February or so, you mentioned that the Komenda sugar factory was going to be operational. And we do know that the Komenda area, the Ghana Museums and Monuments Board, tell us that between 1673 and 1974, the town of English Komenda in the central region, the English expanded their lodge, which was built sometime in 1663, and a fort which they named the Komenda Fort. Now in comes the Komenda Sugar Factory, which was an initiative to have us not import a grain of sugar or a cube of sugar. 1964, a visionary leader called Dr. Kwame Nkrumah had that in mind. Its operation grounded to a halt sometime in the 90s, 30 years ago, if you will. And that was due to poor management and technical issues. The sugar factory collapsed, and then the John Dramani Mahama administration had to bring it back sometime in 2016. And this was made possible because we had run out to the Indian Exim Bank to go and ask for a loan facility of about 36.5 million or so. Every grain of sugar and every cube of sugar we consume in this country today, if you're going to drink your tea, your cocoa, your Tom Brown, your oats, whatever it is, we import. So Komenda was to change that narrative. But what happened? Politicization again. And the estimated numbers of people that we're supposed to employ through direct and indirect jobs are going to be about 7,000 jobs. That was the estimate, 7,000 jobs. What was the argument? The argument was that the raw material which was going to be used for the production of sugar, which is sugarcane, was not present. So sometime in 2016, it halted because we're saying that, oh, well, we don't have the sugar. And then if we don't have the sugarcane, how can we produce sugar? And And then we allowed the factory to rot for 5 years. 5 solid years of politicization. 5 solid years when we had a loan that we were paying interest on. So we're literally borrowing to service that loan, and we're literally borrowing to pay for what we are not benefiting from. Mr. President, not so long ago, your government said you are going to take up the benchmark values. One of the things among the 43 list of items that you said you were going to ensure that you take the benchmark value so that you encourage local production was sugar. We do not produce sugar in this country. Every grain of sugar, every cube of sugar that we chop in this country, we import. And you know what that is doing? We are giving other industries and other countries money when we have a factory that is sitting down that could be producing for us, Mr. President. But you promised us, Mr. President, this is how we are trying to bring back the, the factory. And kudos to you for trying to take another look at it, even though belated. But I'm saying that you promised us that the factory was going to be activated by April, because you had told us that, oh, all the technical work had been done and that by April production will start. Question I want to ask this morning is that, do we have the sugar cane? Do we have the outgrowers? What percentage of the sugar cane itself, as envisaged by Osajifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah in 1964, so that we don't have to depend on any other country in the world for our sugar? What percentage of the sugar itself is the Komenda factory planting? Then he played a president's video for me.
Yeah, Baba has some cassia. In Binum sit 1 year, Uzukoria, ye, Aquaba, Unami, Adaruma, Afadia, Mse, Mama who said, Isiko and Paso, Neba, you see. You may say by April, no. Nanyamano soon, a 2 year, baby quenim. Uquanamusuno, mama amafosate ase acquire government ebabefa na enamo panyin no ne Komenda access road to secretary kai when the full contract for the road itself is given, compensation will be built into it. Bus for the traditional council, legal council. We have to see how we can help the traditional council as far as the bus is concerned.
Mr. President, today is the 27th of April. You promised the chiefs of Komenda that we're going to have sugar produced in tandem with Osagyefo's thinking as far back as 1964 when that factory was done. Danny, before you go to the sugar factory, there's an old newspaper pull-out. Pull it out for me. And I'll tell you what even a military government at the time, even a dictatorial government at the time did. This was what they did. This is the daily graphic of Monday, February 12, 1973. It says, Regional Commander harvests sugarcane at Komenda, manager in army custody. Now it says, Commander J.K. Amedume, Central Regional Commander at the weekend, spent about 2 hours harvesting sugarcane at the Komenda sugarcane plantation with 140 students of Agri Memorial Zion Secondary School, Cape Coast, to feed the Komenda sugar factory. The students, led by Mr. B.A.K. Griffin, assistant headmaster of the school, are members of the Voluntary Work Camps Association, the Boy Scouts Association, of which I was a member once upon a time, and the Girls Guide Association. They were also accompanied by 6 other masters and mistresses. Addressing the students before the harvesting, Commander Amedume exalted the students as future inheritors of the land. The land is still there, but the factory is not functional. They should make hard work and discipline their hallmark in order to help build a prosperous and morally strong nation. I can't talk about morality these days. He said the National Redemption Council attached great importance to voluntary service and commended the students on their efforts. Commander Amedume said the Ghana has reached a stage in a history when everybody should realize that there's dignity in labor, blah, 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 blah. So this was in 1973. 1973, I had to put this out from my archives. 1973, we were harvesting sugarcane in that same area. So where did the politics of we can't plant sugarcane there, the land is not good for sugarcane, the species of sugarcane that way, what is our CSIR doing? What are they doing? Our CSIR that has done a lot of research and giving people assistance even beyond the shores of this country, why are we not engaging them? And I'm proving to you, Mr. President, that in 1973, we were planting sugarcane there. In 1964, when the factory was put together by Osagyefo, we were planting sugarcane there. So, is it the case that there are people connected to political ties who are the big importers of rice and sugar in this country, who are the ones who are drawing this plant back because they benefit from it and eventually comes to the political parties? Is it the case? Because every grain of sugar and every cube of sugar in this country is imported. And that's an indictment. When in 1964, we had envisioned, we had actualized it, we were producing sugar. Even the military leader, the dictators, they had seen the wisdom in it. Bosu, you promised us that sugar production will start in April. Today is the 27th of April, no show. It should not be another promise and fail. You promise, you deliver, because that was the mantra you gave us, that you promise, you deliver. You promise, you deliver. And have you noticed, Mr. President, each time you speak publicly, hashtag in promise strength? Have you realized it? Maybe you haven't. Pay attention. We need Komenda Sugar Factory in order to employ 7,000 people for both direct and indirect jobs. We need a Komenda Sugar Factory to be able to save forex for us and to consume what we eat and eat what we grow. That feeds directly into the Ghana Beyond the Aid agenda, and that feeds into the concept of taking off benchmark values so that those who are profiteering from it against us and which is making the commodity so expensive on the market will be a thing of the past. That was the reasoning of Osagyefo. That was the reasoning that Commander Amedume followed. That was the reason John Dramani Mahama. And I'm happy that you still believe in it because you have gone back to repair and refurbish the factory that was left to rot, sadly. Because we procured that factory with loan from the Indian Exim Bank. So this is just a small reminder for you, Mr. President, that your promise to the chiefs, they sat there in full regalia before you. They even asked for a bus on that occasion. Bus there were him. So, Mr. President, I'm saying that if you can't give them the bus, at least give them the sugar factory. And I'll tell you something. Maybe you have not paid attention to the 2020 election dynamics. In 2020, even when you had gone there to start work on the sugar factory, beyond the charts that you had given at the Ghana map and showing us every district and what resources they have and what factories you could get there per the 1D, 1F concept, your party, your candidate, lost that election. Along the coastal line, when you're done all the WAFs, right from after Volta region, come towards Tema, come towards Nungwa, come towards Teshi, comes towards La, come towards all those places. Did you see how many of your candidates lost around there? Mr. President, don't let them deceive you that all is well. If you promise, deliver. You promised Komenda Sugar Factory, said it was going to be operational in April. Bosu, deliver. Good morning.
This year, Komenda Sugar Factory have started. Actually, almost about 50 more from my shower. Since I war painting as it was on Chebiano, Yobasha for the processing with the raw material. Now, Mr. President, outgrowers here at this time because the original land now were allocated for a friend and sugar factory, no, about 5,000 and over. No, see, them land now about by year if he see, Komenda man was here, then come on find sugar factory, no. Protein no sugar factory is ready. Name won't mean your far into me. You are feeling what sabi. You crum ho.